this is Darren here with Creativity Unleashed. This is part 3 of the biodigester. Well, really this is what went wrong. So biodigesters really do work, and they can work well. If you start looking it up, especially in Spanish, you'll find way more information. I believe it's in Colombia that they have over 10,000 of them in operation at different farms and different things. There's some really good documentaries in Spanish about the subject. There are numerous designs for biodigesters, and mine had some flaws that are relatively easy to fix in a new design, changing it just slightly. So I'm going to go over what I built real quick and what went wrong and how that could be corrected, and hopefully in another video we'll be able to build another one. But I ran out of money for testing. So here's the basic design of the biodigester I built. You have your feeding tube in here. That's all good. The gas out here in the middle. That worked pretty well. We had our fertilizer out in where there's a hole in the middle so that the content that sank to the bottom that's still being digested, or what floated that was being digested, would be able to, the most already digested is in the middle, that is already broken down and there isn't much use to it anymore being in there, would come out and you could collect that and use it for fertilizer, and it was amazing how well it made things grow. Now the problems I have with the tank are these, basically. I had put it next to a big structure here, and in the morning when the sun's rays were coming down, the tank was getting hit from the side by sunlight, and that was all good. It would produce a lot of gas in the morning. But as the sun climbed up to near 12 o'clock here, and your rays of sun are coming almost straight down onto the tank, all there was a gas barrier in between the liquid and the top. So it would get this really hot, but it would be no longer heating this, so to speak, the stomach of the biodigester. And then after it went past this way, where the building was blocking the sunlight from hitting it, it did almost nothing. And so obviously the easy fix would be to move the tank to an open place where that it'll at least get sun in the afternoon and in the morning. But I didn't really like that. I felt like it was too major of a flaw. We have the gas coming straight out of the biodigester. It produces so much gas that we're able to run a stove constantly during the daytime when the sun's hitting it. And you can see right here, you got beautiful boiling water. The flame is incredibly hot down there, and I just have it nicely running. I modified this little burner for an industrial stove. So it's quite lovely indeed. So I'll just draw up real quick what I think would be a solution to this problem. Alright, so this is the new design that would change quite a bit, in the sense that the water level would come up to about here in the tank, which would allow the same feeding process and the same thing, but as the sun's course of the day crosses, it'd be able to heat the liquid almost the entire time, because the surface would be in contact with the outside where the sun would be hitting the tank, which causes it to heat up better. Another modification would be to put a sink here with a garbage disposal to further grind up whatever organic matter you were putting in it. And with a sink you could even turn the water on, pour in everything you want to get rid of or turn into gas. It would get ground up and go down the garbage disposal, and you could have maybe some kind of rod plunger thing on the side where you could get anything that might get stuck pushed all the way into the tank. This would be a good idea, I think, and worth testing. I also was thinking of making it bigger, simply because I know it works. and I might like to just be able to run just about everything off of it. The other issue that I ran into is you have to filter out the sulfur dioxide. The process of biodigesting produces the methane and alcohol and some other things, but you also get sulfur dioxide, which is something that will oxidize steel, so like shavings from a metal lathe, drill press, steel wool, all that kind of stuff can filter out the sulfur dioxide. And since I have a metalworking shop, I usually have plenty of metal scrap that could be used to do that with. Not sure if there is too many other good ways to do that, but that seems like the most common way to do that. Now, there are some other designs for biodigesters that that could potentially work really well. One idea is to use a solar hot water heater with a circulating pump with a thermostat, so it automatically have some circulation coils inside where it transfers the heat into the biodigester when it needs it. It adds to the complexity and cost. You could also work out like a greenhouse dome over it, like a geodesic dome, that would allow the sunlight to come in, heat the tank without having the loss so much to the air carrying it away. So there's definitely some ideas, but it'd probably be cheaper to use a solar hot water heater than it would be to build a dome. Another few things to mention is that the cost of the one I built was probably around $400 or $450. Obviously prototyping gets expensive, you can always optimize later. If I was to build another one, it might cost about $1,200, simply because I was thinking of making it like over double the size. So yeah, that would end up costing more, but I think it would in the long run be a better idea. Just for my circumstances. And the other thing to point out is if you are into organic farming, this is an incredible way to get really good fertilizer. You're producing gas that you can use for cooking and heating, but you really got to think, this is breaking down my compost in a way that the plants can really benefit and use. It is doing an incredible job at that. You don't have to invest into composting in that another sense where you'd still be producing all these gas and greenhouse gases and stuff that people are claiming are destroying the environment. You'd be able to be utilizing them more, and you'd not be burning fossil fuel that you would have been doing. So there is a lot of advantage. This should be a common thing. Like I was saying, in Colombia, they've got, I think, over 10,000 of these things, and the farmers are like, yeah, we've been doing this for years. This is great. It works great. It's a good system, and it's just a common thing. Classic. So here's the biodigester. It's 2 weeks in, and this is what it does from about 8 or earlier in the morning till after 12 noon. What happens is we have shadow on the house, and so it seems that after the sun stops hitting the tank, it stops producing gas, mostly until the next day. So we might have to think about moving the tank or getting a mirror to reflect. So a few of the things that I'd like to mention before I go is that whenever you're developing something that's an alternative energy or that, a lot of this, it's not that it hasn't been thought of before, it's just often in the past they didn't see it as viable simply because they had plenty of fossil fuel and all to burn, and if something wasn't extremely simple and easy to use and didn't store as much energy, they just kind of threw the idea out and said maybe someday in the future, and that's kind of where it stayed. So often nowadays people get comfortable in their box of where they live and what they do, and they get everything fed to them, And it's very difficult to step outside of that and to do new things. But when you do, you are going to run into all the different levels of complexity that are what, keep it from being a commonly used thing. So I would have to say that I think as of now, biogas and biodigesters are definitely not for everyone, but there are those people that don't know about them that would be a perfect solution for. If you're a farmer, or if you're trying to live off-grid and you have enough land and you have the access to enough organic waste, potentially restaurant owners and stuff like that could do really well. Of course, foods and organic matter that has more energy yields a higher percent of usable gas, they say. Cooking oil and some of that. Some places they turn it into a biodiesel by basically filtering and stuff, and then you burn it. But that requires quite a bit of processing. Whereas if you just have the junk from restaurants that's left over, you can throw that in there and it can convert into a lot more efficient gas, a lot more yield for what you add to it. Like I said before, I think it's extremely important if you're trying to grow organic crops. Of course, it's important probably what you would feed it, but the bacteria do a very good job of breaking things down. So when you're storing biogas, one of the things you're going to run into is where do you store it? And a lot of people, farms and stuff, get like a giant balloon, and that could be made of like a polyethylene or a PVC type bag material, vinyl type stuff. And so then they try to keep that away from the house, and as it makes gas, it fills it up, and you can put like sandbags on top of it so that as you draw the gas off, it kind of self-pressurizes, or they do actually sell a pretty small pressurizing pump that is just designed for biogas to take it up to what the regulator of a propane stove or natural gas would give you. So it makes it where that it can draw off of like your bag of stored gas. So it's a huge advantage for if you were running a generator off of this and needed to recharge like your batteries in your hybrid system or off-grid system. You could power it up real fast for an hour or so when the voltage gets low. Sulfur dioxide, moisture in the gas, because when the tank's heating up, you also get water evaporating with the gas, so you can get kind of wet gas. You're going to need water separators, and to be honest, the biogas, if it's not filtered correctly, just smells utterly horrendous. And if you cook with it without using filters, it is not pleasant. You definitely need to be like in an outside ventilated area, and technically those like sulfur dioxide gases and some of that are not the best for a human to breathe, and so definitely should be filtered out. So there are definitely some things to work out of it, but I think it should be developed more. There should be more common knowledge of it. So yeah, it'd be great to get another one built, work out some of those details, do some fun testing, like what happens when your giant gas bag catches on fire, like how dangerous is it? If you have 25 cubic meters of gas just, sitting on top of your yard or something or whatnot, what happens if that catches fire, which is, if a lot of people got systems like that, it could be pretty easy to occur, I would suppose. So there's a lot of testing that would be interesting, entertaining, as well as very beneficial to know what kind of things you can expect from the system. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. I'm sorry I haven't done much more. I was hoping to just be able to build the new biodigester and update you all on what happened. It's the other one, just things, get busy. So hope you guys all have a great one, and let me know if you have any thoughts or comments.
Oh, that thing's like fresh.
We're getting that fresh. Oh, look at that. That's going to be perfect in my stomach. Oh, come on, boy.